Hey guys, Tonic here. Today I would like to show you some of the best camp locations near a water source. Now these are going to be in no particular order, there is no ranking system for these. These are all just some really nice locations near a good amount of water. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we're going to go to a really nice location that I hardly ever see used. This is going to be right next to the Mothman Museum at the Marigold Pavilion, and you're going to have this very nice little pond here. You will also have this giant Life is a Race billboard, and there's even a little secret cave down here. Now what I like to use this cave for is I always like to throw my shelter entrances in here so I can have a nice little hidden vault under my camp. You can build up here as well and get an absolutely beautiful view. You have the ash heap way in the background, you have top of the world over there, and then right there is actually Vault 76, so it's really not too far if you're just starting out. And then also you can get a ton of water here. You can fit so many purifiers in this camp location if that's what you're choosing to do. You can even build on top of the dock here and kind of extend it out and get a nice little houseboat. This area is also relatively safe. Whenever I build here, usually I just get attacked by mole rats or dogs every so often, no very hard enemies, and the max building distance towards the billboard sign is kind of right on top of this little flat part. Now if you do decide to use this area, there's two really cool things. You can get free loot every day by opening this toolbox, and also right off the end of the dock there's actually a safe that you can open up and get some more free loot out of. Now this next camp location is a bit more popular in terms of people building here, but it still looks just as good. This is going to be actually in between Vault 76 and the last location, right here on the map, and Meat Week does actually happen right here, so when Meat Week is active, this camp location is a bit busy, but it's not horrible. This is just a perfect spot for a water camp. You have a beautiful dock here that you can build on. You can build up right on the beach, right up on the dock. You even do get an NPC here, and sometimes you can get loot off them, sometimes you can get faction rep off them. There's all sorts of really cool stuff. Now the building location is a bit weird with this one. You can't go too close to up there, so you kind of have to use the bottom half of this pond here, but it still does give you more than enough room to place a ton of purifiers or build a little camp on the water. If you go right out on the dock, you can actually build a camp out pretty far. If you go right down here to the bottom step, you can actually have a very far camp location and build all the way out there. So it's super good for building little lake houses. You also do have all of this nice soil over here for maybe planting some crops or something. And also as far as loot in this area goes, there is this down vertebrate up here. This will have a little first aid kit as well as some raiders next to it. And you will be able to get some free first aid, some free junk out of this box. And usually when things attack, it's going to be just like that dog or maybe some small liberators, very small enemies around this area just because of how close it is to Vault 76. Now this next camp location is going to be just south of Vault 76, right next to the isolated cabin, and this place has a lot to offer. You have this very nice peaceful pond here. You also do have an NPC that can spawn in this chair sometimes. You can get aid items or some reputation off them. It also does have this really cool little physics-based swing that is really sweet and it's just kind of fun to mess around with. You also will have some non-aggressive beavers here. These will not attack you. You got a little footlocker here for some loot. And you also do have a lot of choice when it comes to building your camp here. So you can build right on the edge of this dock and build a nice houseboat or something right in the water. You can also build in this really nice flat area over here and build a pretty decent flat camp with a lot of water purifiers. There is just so much stuff that you can do here. You can even build up there and build on that hill and kind of just get a little bit of water. You can get a lot of water. Apparently there's falling beavers now as well. I don't know where that guy came from, but there is just so much that you can do, and you even do have a nice little honey hive right there. So this is just a nice area for a lot of beginning players. Now something sort of interesting about this camp location is that even though it's so peaceful and just really nice to build a camp at, there really is not too many people that built here. I hardly ever see camps built here, so if you do decide to choose this area, I really wouldn't worry too much about having your camp spot stolen when you log in. Moving on to the next location, this is going to be right next to the North Cutthroat Camp, just south of the Wendigo Cave. So this location is awesome. It has a ton of stuff going on. You can get all of this free wood here daily in these wood piles that will keep respawning. You can even loot this body on this little barge here and get some of the food as well as some of the salt and pepper, the first aid. And if you really want to get the maximum amount of water, you can actually place your camp right on this barge just to get a few extra purifiers in there or even some more room to build. Also, two other really cool things about this location is that you're going to have a camp ally spawn here. Here we have the Settler Wanderer, somewhat of a rare camp ally. And we also have an absolutely breathtaking view of the Mire region. Now, as if this one pond wasn't enough, you can actually follow this little drain system right here, and it will lead you to another pond that has another NPC spawn, as well as a bit more flat land if you don't really want to build on the water. So here we have a guy farming for some gold. We do have a much smaller pond here. There isn't as much loot here. I believe it's just like one little pan, I think, that spawns here. Yeah, so there really isn't much, just this little bucket. But the land here is just so much more flat, and you have such a nice view down there. It's not as good as the one up there because you do have some more trees blocking your view. However, if you do want to have a much flatter area to build, this is probably the pond compared to the other one to build at. So this location is really cool because you have two choices of different ponds that you would like to build in. There is no way to connect the two of them. It's a bit too large of an area to try and connect the two ponds together in one camp, but there is just so much room here, and again, it's one of those locations that you really don't see too many camps at. And so as far as the very last spot on the map, this is actually going to be right south of the Lucky Hole Mine, right next to the Relay Tower ELB102, and right next to my main camp. I really like to build in this area. It's such a nice area. This is going to give you an amazing view of the Cranberry Bog. If my camp wasn't there, you could even see more of it, and it's also right next to Watoga. You can watch some nukes drop for the Scorched Beast Queen, you can watch all sorts of big fights down there, and even travel back right after the fight and be able to sell some stuff in your vendors pretty quickly. It's an awesome camp for some endgame content, and it also does have this really nice pond that you can utilize. So you can build your camp pretty much anywhere along this, get a ton of water as well as some really nice flat land up here to build with. You can get all the way out here and build in this rock and get the most water possible. It is just an awesome location. However, this is probably going to be the most used spot out of all these spots that I have shown so far. So if you do build here, expect your camp to be taken up every so often when you log on to play. And as far as camp defense goes for enemies that spawn in this area, you are going to have to fight some harder enemies compared to the other locations, things like Yogwai, super mutants, packs of wolves, big groups of Scorched. It's not impossible to defend, however, it is going to be the toughest out of all the locations that I have shown. Now I know that this is a top 5 video, however, if you're looking for the most amount of water possible in the entire game, this is going to be your spot. This is going to be just next to the Thunder Mountain power plant, and you can actually put your camp right on the back of this little boat and have your entire camp radius actually just be surrounded by water. It is a bit tricky to build here because you kind of have to start at this point and get your foundations to start going up on top of the water and things like that, but if you are able to pull this off, you can have an entire camp built pretty much fully on the water. So that is going to be all of my favorite camp locations near water in Fallout 76. I really hope that this video helps you out if you are looking for a camp location like this. Building a camp near water is always a really good idea when you're starting out because you can always purify that water and go and sell it for some pretty easy caps at vendors. Also, if they ever introduce a fishing update where you can go and fish, I am definitely going to go back to one of these locations and build a really cool little fishing shack. However, I do want to give you all a massive thank you for stopping by and watching, and as always, giving a massive thank you to all the channel members: She, Stealthasecto, Networkgate, Golty, Indica, Robert Kennard, Wandering Wastelander, Esdeath93, Lanthar, Anaristes, Fallout McFly, Captain Awesome, Citizen Girl, Chad of Fallout 76 Podcast, Heather Henderson, Yosevated, Patrick Ruda, 23 Icefire, Jay Smith, Argent Deer, Brazo Double Frang, Ice Cream Manny, Chris Decker, Theodore, Digital Aardvark, Lone Samurai OG, Diathan Gaming, Christy Mellon Schwitz. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Have a great day.